How you doing, guys? Today we are continuing some work on my new muffler for the Lil Mule. As you can tell, we went over to my buddy's machine shop and did a little bit of machining. What you were seeing is I was actually making this. This is going to be my exhaust dump. Essentially what's going to happen is the exhaust, obviously this will connect up to the original Magnum exhaust manifold. We have the bend, which will get us into the muffler. I have the bend going towards the back, so the gases will come back. And then I built this dump, which is going to actually face towards the back of the muffler, or the outside of the muffler, I should say, when you look at the tractor. So that'll get welded on. Now, oops, this thing wants to be in this position. We'll just leave it there. But I don't want this to be open, so I cut a piece of band iron, and I'm going to weld that in and, grind it down and make it look nice and smooth and all that stuff, even though you're never going to see this once I seal up the muffler. But essentially, that'll go in this position. Actually, you know what? Let's try to chuck it so it'll stay put. There we go. All right, so this goes in this position. That's going to fit in kind of like that, okay? I think that looks pretty good. And then essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the diverter plate right about here. And what that'll do is that'll stop the exhaust gases from just, going out with a raspy sound out of the muffler. That'll kind of slow the expansion rate a little bit before it goes out. Will it create a little bit of back pressure? Yeah, but I'm not worried about that so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the welder out. We're going to get this thing tacked together, get this tacked on, and then hopefully it should look like a nice clean single pipe. With some welding and grinding, the inlet pipe is finished. That's going to be the essential dump pipe, if you want to call it. All the welds came out pretty good. I didn't really go bananas filing, buffing them all down with the die grinder, only because it's all inside. When I do the outside welding, I will be more cognizant of welding those, buffing those down to a point where they'll look nice. But essentially, this is how it's all going to work out with this. I'm going to put the inlet about right here, right where those spot welds are. That way it moves the muffler forward just a touch. I think the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to start stitching up these holes in the muffler and get those done. Get the outside buffed down with the die grinder really nice. And then we'll go from there. With the exterior holes all welded up, all those drill marks are gone. They look good. I mean, you're going to see a little bit. The bulk of them are covered by the heat shield. I mean, we'll probably see this one. You'll probably see this one. There'll be a little bit of a weld seam. This here is the old bracket mount that went down to the motor. That's going to get completely ground off. I just haven't done it yet. There was obviously a little hole right there, so I filled that in. There was a little hole down there. That's all filled in. And then when we look in the inside, we have a good solid weld through on all of them. I just knocked that one down a little bit with the die grinder. But other than that, the rest of them are all in good shape. I'm not going to grind the inside. I'm just going to leave that alone. So for right now, let me just see if I can get this thing just to sit up. There we go. So right now we have all the holes touched up. We have the inlet pipe made. So I'm going to do that. That goes right there, just as I indicated earlier. The next thing I need to do is make a side plate and a baffle. I'll probably do the baffle first. We'll get into that next, and then we'll talk about the exterior side plate. After talking to one of my friends about what I was doing with this muffler, he offered to slip roll me a piece of steel for the side, and he actually cut me a disc 3 3/4 for the baffle wall that I want to make. So actually, I didn't really have to do a whole lot for that. I will have to drill a hole or make some kind of opening in that in order for the gases to expand or to escape. This, which is going to be mint, is just a hair bigger than the hole. So all I did was I took my original and dropped it on here. Took a Sharpie marker, obviously went all the way around, and I'm going to cut on the outside of this black line. That way the black line is actually the thickness of the die grinder wheel, theoretically. So this will fit in real nice and almost original-like. And it's brand new. It's brand. I can weld to it pretty good. I am going to use this eventually as the template for the hole that's going to be needed for the dump pipe into the muffler. So what I'm going to do here is pretty simple. I'm just going to take my tin snips and just very carefully cut along the outer lines. This line, I'm going to probably just use my hacksaw. I'll just be very careful with the hacksaw all the way around. And then that should get me fairly close to the size of the opening in the muffler shell. I may have to do a little filing or, manipulating just to get it to fit real nice. But once I get that done, then I'll do the layout for the inlet opening. All right, so let me get to some cutting. Let me get into some filing, and we'll see how this thing fits. So after a little cutting and filing, I think I got it pretty close. As you can tell, I got a little bit of an issue here. When I cut it with the tin snips, it distorted it a little bit. So I got to re-arc it a little bit right in this area. But my back seam looks really good. This corner looks real good. This is real good all the way up to here. But then on this corner, I do have a little bit of overlap. So I'm going to need to file a touch off of that. All of that looks pretty darn good. So I'm almost there with the replacement cover. So a little bit more bending and twisting, and then I can move on to the baffle. With that, that's where I'm going to leave this. It fits pretty good. When you take a look at it down the sides, it's pretty straight. This should stitch weld pretty easily. Obviously, there's a little dip right here, but this is all got to get welded pretty much, not pretty much. It has to get welded airtight and ground down and smoothed out. So it's going to need to be a little bit more manipulated. But I think the side cover piece is formed and put in place. I was going to do the baffle, but I think what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to mark this up in order to cut the hole for the inlet. Before I make the hole in the new piece of metal for the side cover of the muffler, I really want to make sure that I lay out where this muffler is to sit on the tractor exactly. So what I did was I cut the original down. I just took the tin snips, chopped off a section of it to kind of line it up. I apologize, you can't see it, but there right there, the spot welds right there. That is approximately where I wanted the inlet to be. So that's why I cut it so it would fit in that fashion. Now I'm doing this with one hand, so just bear with me for a second. So that's about where I want that inlet to be. So it basically pushes the muffler forward on the hood so it sits in a more natural position. Instead of it being like back here, it's going to be up in front. Now I have the exhaust exit right there. I'm going to kind of eyeball line it up with this for you to the best of my ability, so just hang in there. Now, when I put it about where it is to be, the one thing I don't like is I don't like how close it is to the hood. So I would like to lower the muffler a little bit just to get a little bit more breathing room between the hood and the muffler. Now I know my inlet pipe is long enough to push it out from away from the hood, so I'm good there. But I want it down a little bit, and I want it to sit kind of like what a 300 series or a 400 series tractor's muffler would. So it just looks the part. Now I know it's really hard to get a good visual with the camera in my hand. Sorry about that. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to basically keep I am going to keep the inlet in line with those spot welds. Okay, that's going to be my marker where the inlet is going to need to be. Actually, yeah, there you go. But I'm going to move the inlet up. I'm going to just, oh boy, just going to put my foot right here. I'm going to move the inlet up closer to this edge. That way, it basically will lower that muffler about 1/4 of an inch from where it would be in a stock position. So a little bit of measuring, a little bit more thinking this through in order to put the muffler where I want it, or make it look the best, and obviously where I want it. All right, guys, I think that's a video wrap for today. It is pretty darn cold. We had our first real snow, as you can tell, and right now I don't even think it's 25 degrees. I think it's colder than that. I know it's definitely not 30. So it's pretty cold. I'm cold, and I need to think about this a little bit more before I go drilling and really making things permanent. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your support. If you like these kinds of projects, please subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified when my videos come up. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. All right. As always, guys, I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.